Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market preparation video for Thursday, August 23rd, 2018. So, yesterday we had kind of it was just a real interesting day. We saw the bears kind of taking control here in the diamonds, pushing back down. We saw the bulls trying to pick up some control in the Qs and IWM. And then we saw, and then we saw the SPY, well, just kind of remain stagnant as the bulls and bears seem equally matched. So what's a guy to do? Well, I think what's happening here is the market's just trying to it's looking for inspiration. As we stick around these resistance levels, the market's looking for something to key on. And it can't seem, at least at this point, to find that real inspiration to move it forward. Now, looking at the diamonds here with a little bit more detail, you can see we have breached above this downtrend line, which is important. And what we could be seeing here is just the Dow trying to change its trajectory. You can see we did have this trend going on here, and that broke. We've rallied back higher, and we could be pulling back to find that next trend in the diamonds. Not sure of that. I just think right now it's holding up pretty well. I have to give this to the bulls, even though we did pull back yesterday. Have to give it to the bulls because all we've done is pull back to retest this March high as support for that move. Now this morning we're seeing kind of some interesting price action. We have 16 billion in new tariffs being levied against China, and Beijing quickly responded with another round for the U.S. as well of $16 billion. So matching tariffs coming back and forth across as the U.S. and China are sitting at the negotiating table trying to come up with a way to avoid this. So interesting that the market, at least right now, has kind of shrugged that off as not. It's as if it didn't even happen this morning. Kind of interesting that futures are currently indicating basically a flat to maybe slightly positive, slightly bearish open this morning on the Dow. So kind of interesting how we're just kind of floating around here, looking for inspiration, but the tariff situation doesn't seem to be affecting the markets at all. If we look at the closer look at the SPY, we still have to give this to the bulls. The overall trend, at least as I have it marked here, is still holding up, and we're challenged by this resistance up here. Just can't seem to find the inspiration to pop through. So one of the things you always have to remember in a situation like this is the bulls or bears could gather inspiration here at any time. A news report, an earnings report, whatever it might be, something that inspires them to move. And at the current position of the SPY, that could certainly be in either direction, up or down, really quick. So we have to be a little bit cautious as we approach the market. Just because there's no way to know, there's no way to predict which way this is going to go. And I certainly don't want to attempt to do that. I just want to be very watchful of price action, looking for those clues when and if that inspiration comes around. On the Qs, we did see a nice move up, and actually kind of surprising how all of a sudden we saw some big moves yesterday in some of the techs trying to respond higher. But we do have to recognize that we have this trend here. We have resistance here, and we have resistance here. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done for the Qs to really push through. And is that possible? Certainly, it's possible. We'll have to keep a close eye. And this morning, the NASDAQ is indicating just a tiny little bit lower. So just here we are, again, flat on the day. If we take a look at IWM, the leader of the markets right now, And the strongest of the indexes, and you can see that broke out to all-time new highs, followed through yesterday and continuing to hold up. So IWM taking over leadership of the market. Let's take a look at the VIX. The VIX is not showing much of any fear. Yesterday, fear kind of subsided a little bit. We've been bouncing around in this area for a couple of weeks trying to figure out where we're going to go from here. And so right now, you have to look at this and say, hey, we're sitting down here on support. There's no, that's a bearish engulfing candle right there. There's no indication of fear here in the market. So once again, there's just a clue that we have to lean toward that bullish side and stay what I'm calling cautiously optimistic. The bulls will find inspiration, but I always want to be prepared in case that happens to shift the other direction. And that honestly could happen at any moment. So be careful. Let's take a look at T21 22. Whoops. There we go. T21-22, the 4-week new high, new low ratio. If you look at this index, not this index, but this indicator, all this is doing, I get this question, what is T21-22? Well, what they do is they take an average of the 4-week new highs and an average of the 4-week new lows and plot this on a chart. And you can see that it's very, very consistent. When we reach levels down in here, we tend to find that as a bullish reversal zone. And when we're up here, this tends to be a bearish reversal zone. And so far, we're just hanging out up here. We certainly have room to go higher. So no reason to panic here. There's room to go higher. But please keep in mind, there's certainly plenty of room to go lower. So here we are. We're kind of flat, trying to figure out which way this market wants to go. And I think, like I say, the market is just looking for that inspiration. It's looking for something that it hasn't been able to find yet. So it could make that decision, I guess. It's just kind of struggling here. And I don't know where we go from here. We just have to watch and wait and be a little bit cautious and careful. Plan your risk carefully when you're looking at a market like this. Plan and make sure you're not over trading in a market like this, because that whip can happen really fast. And by the way, anytime you're around market highs, there is the high potential. At least I should say they're fairly common for head fakes and whipsaw reversals. So watch that close. You may get started in one direction and then completely reverse. So be careful and watch that price action closely, and just try not to overtrade during a market like this. On the economic calendar day, we have an interesting day. And in fact, this is going to go on for the rest of the week. We have the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium starting today. And so that's going to generate a lot of news reports. There could be a lot of things coming out of that. You'll have to kind of keep an eye on it and watch it closely as that news continues to roll out. And it'll be kind of a 24/7 CNBC kind of story going on. And depending on how these meetings go and interviews go at Jackson Hole, we could see some movement in the market around that. Just be watchful of it. It's nothing to really worry about, but just to be kind of watchful of that news. We have jobless claims here first thing in the morning, and we have new home sales. That's one of the bigger reports of today. New home sales are expecting an increase in home sales this month. And then they're showing the natural gas report and the Fed balance sheet as potential market moving reports today. But I think it would be unlikely unless there's a major surprise in those numbers. So keep that in mind. On the earnings calendar, we had just about 50 companies reporting earnings today, and they're coming in pretty quickly this morning. One to pay attention to here is Baba reported this morning, and you can see Baba is reacting higher this morning. And this afternoon, we have Intuit is reporting this afternoon. So we have some tax, we have some retail this afternoon. So a lot more reports this afternoon that could move the market around. So we'll have to watch that. Maybe we'll find some inspiration in those earnings reports. I have no idea. So keep an eye on those. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great profits. And if this is the first time you've seen these videos, please click that subscribe button on YouTube and the follow me button on Facebook if you happen to be watching it there. Also, click those thumbs up buttons and drop a comment. I truly, truly appreciate that. Everyone, take care. Have an awesome, awesome day. And I wish you all kinds of success. Have a good one.